What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. So, as predicted, we said that Tesla will likely see some downside once we open and then begin to consolidate as time goes on. We came back down to fill the pre market gap, and now we're just consolidating for the time being. So, there's not really much going on so far with the markets until we get to FOMC. And as a reminder, FOMC is going to be starting at 2 o'clock p.m. since we have the rate decision at that time. So, expect some volatility at that time. And then at 2:30 p.m., we have the FOMC press conference that's going to cause even more volatility. So be ready for some volatility once that data comes out. I also want to add that President Trump is in South Korea right now, and there have been a lot of trade talks that were going on. He's also going to be meeting up with Xi Jinping in many hours. I think it's going to be around 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time when they meet up. President Trump said that the meeting may last 3 to 4 hours, so far the market is holding up as a result. Now, Tesla's only down 0.4%. Like I said before, we're just kind of like shopping around, not really doing much. And there's a good chance that we're going to continue to do this. We may continue to shop around for some time before we either break to the upside or we get a big rug pull, depending on what happens with FOMC. So be open minded in case Tesla ends up doing anything. For now, I think that we're just going to be very choppy, very sideways. But then once we reach the rate decision at 2 p.m., when the Fed announces their cuts, there might be more volatility coming. So until then, expect some chop. If Tesla ends up losing at 455, we're looking for a dip to 450 or below. But if we break past the high of the day, we could be looking for 470 plus. Otherwise, we're just going to chop around like this until we get a big move, until we see what happens with the data. Then for SPY, okay, the same thing is going on. We came down a little bit. We're also just chopping around this 688 area. It could be going either way. Premiums are also elevated due to high implied volatility. And either we're going to continue to chop for now and then break to the upside past 690, or we get a big rug pull back below 686 to start dumping. It depends on Jerome Powell, so I do expect some high volatility. For now, expect some chop until we get to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the triple Q, we're barely holding 635, which is not the best of signs for bulls. It could even dip to fill this gap down here, so be careful in case we do see some downside. However, for now, I do think we chop around and then we're either going to launch higher or get a rug pull with Jerome Powell, so we'll see how it goes. For the IWM, we pushed quite a bit. We have 250s our resistance and support down here at 248. It could be going either way. We got a small bounce so far, but we're still technically in a range between 250 and 248. Until we break one of these directions, we're kind of stuck. Same thing with ES. We have support at 69.32 and resistance around 69.50. We're range bound. Could be dipping more if we lose the lower 6900s, so give this some time. NQ also has a bearish divergence unless we get back above 26,280. We're favoring 26,200 for some downside, so be careful with that. Bitcoin's on a bit of a downtrend unless we get back above 112,800. We're still favoring 111,000 for some downside. Nvda pumped all the way up to about 212 before rejecting. We have support at 207. We have to hold this or else we could be dipping to like 204. But I do think we chop around for the most part until we get to FOMC. Aapl pumped and dumped a bit. It could be dipping closer to like 266 before it tries to balance. Could see a bit more downside and we'll see what happens from there. AMD's on a bit of a downtrend. We have support down here at 258, and we'll see what happens after that. Coinbase is on a bit of a downtrend. We do have this main support at 345, so we'll see what happens with that. Amazon's looking a bit more bullish, looking for 232 as our resistance. Meta's trying to pump back up to 751, so we'll see how that goes. And Google's also looking a bit more bullish for 272 as our target. It's still getting bought back up. Finally, Microsoft is looking a bit more bearish, favoring 533 to fill the imbalance below. And the VIX is kind of like flat right here. There's a gap to fill below. So honestly, guys, the market is very flat, very choppy. Not much is going on until we get to FOMC. Same thing with Tesla. We're just chopping around. So be very patient. And we'll see what happens once the results come in. So expect some volatility at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and get ready for FOMC. Until then, expect some sideways price action. Premiums are a bit elevated due to high implied volatility, but there's not really a whole lot going on. Most stickers are kind of flat with some kind of like pushing a bit higher. So keep that in mind, guys. Thank you all for listening. Get ready for some high volatility and peace out.